We're here with Jeremy Gross, who is the producer at EA Mobile down in Los Angeles, California, and he's here to show us the new iPad version of Madden NFL 2011, right?
Yep.
So let's get down to it. I mean, tell me about this new version. I know you guys have previously had a really successful version on the iPhone. So what's new here, and what have you guys modified to make the game even better on the iPad?
Yeah, so Madden NFL 11, it's the first time we're bringing it to the iPad. We're also bringing it back to iPod Touch and iPhone as well. So there's a lot of great new features we put in this year's game across both versions, right? The iPad, which I'll talk about some more, we have a few specific things going into it, but high level, some of the great new features we've done. Last year we had hot routes just on passing plays. This year we have hot routes everywhere.
So walk me through, what's hot routes again?
So hot routes, one of the great things is the touch device. You can just draw directly on the screen. So last year with passing, you could just draw your receiver route, whatever crazy route you wanted, and he would follow that. Right? This year we've added that to all parts of the game because it was kind of such a hit. So on defense, you can draw on the screen and have your defender run up in the corner for a zone. You can draw one player to come in and blitz your quarterback. So you can really kind of change up on the fly what you want to do, using the great touch interface of just drawing on screen.
And this is a level of control you don't even get on Madden's console versions, right? I know in the console version generally, you run the play, the guys go do their thing, and you can control one player at a time, but this sounds like more freedom, flexibility to make them do whatever they want.
Sure. I mean, the console versions do have a hot route feature before the play, but the advantage we have is the entire game screen is a touch interface. So it's kind of quicker and nice to just draw directly on screen this player, this player, this player, as opposed to having to cycle through and do it. So you can do it there, but we're really able to take advantage of the touch screen and just draw whatever you want, one player after the next.
Okay. And your other, I know you said there are a few other big features that are launching this year.
Yeah, so one of the kind of big great features is one that console's doing as well, which is called Game Flow. So that basically, it really puts you with more time on the field, less in the playbook. So after every play, you basically have your coach, your offensive coordinator calling the plays for you. So it'll show on screen, like as you see there, right? It tells you, what your next play is going to be. And if you don't like it, you still have the option of going into the playbook on any given play and changing it. But most of the time, we have a robust football AI, so it's going to give you good choices. So it's going to call runs and passes at the right time. So it really helps you, maximize the time that you're actually playing the game and not sifting through the playbook.
And it sounds like that's even better for these devices, given that I think they're more suited toward casual gameplay, where you might only be playing for say 5 or 10 minutes at a time, right? You just want to play as opposed to go deep diving into your playbook.
Yeah, absolutely. And for us, with the mobile games especially, accessibility is a key part of it. We do want those core Madden players, those hardcore fans that still play our games. But we, ultimately, for this device and what it is, we want people that, if you're a fan of the NFL, maybe you haven't played a lot of console Madden, you don't know all the strategy and the difference between a 4-3 and a nickel and a dime, but football.
Who doesn't know that?
But football and you like it, Game Flow really helps you there. So it is definitely a time saver, and it keeps the game moving. I mean, I think we think it's cutting the game time almost in half.
So what are some of the differences between this is coming to the iPad for the first time? It's already been on the iPhone. What are some of the key differences between the iPhone version and the iPad version?
Yeah, so I mean, one of the main differences ultimately comes down to kind of the shape of the device, the way you hold it, and all that. So it's the same overall control scheme, but the way in which we kind of put it across the screen is different. On passing on the iPod Touch, you're passing by tapping above the receivers, but oftentimes with the iPad, you're holding it kind of in two hands, so you're not actually using the whole device with your fingers. So we also have a passing wheel that you can use in the corner. The playbook we've obviously tailored to this device. It has kind of the page flipping look that you'll see when you're reading books on the iPad and that type of thing. So I mean, a lot of it comes down to that. I mean, we're delivering all the same great new features, but it's just kind of the ways you tailor it to ultimately it's a different form factor, different screen size, you hold it differently. So you end up having to make some design changes around that. Cool. So one other key feature I think we're really excited about is total defensive control. So I think last year the game was a lot of fun on offense, but often on defense it's hard to make it as engaging. So we've designed really a whole new way to play defense this year, and with total defensive control, in the middle of the play you can stop time briefly. You get more of an overhead camera. And then you can go in, you can kind of change the assignments that a player is doing, where they're running. But what's really cool is you can queue up actions. So if you have if the AI team is throwing to a receiver and you have 2 guys on them, instead of trying to switch to them and quickly trigger and intercept, you can go into total defensive control, slow down the game, and then have one player go for the intercept and one for the deflection. So you get kind of that the riskier attempt at the interception, but the other players there can go for deflect it. So you get a little more of the attempt to do some of the team strategy. But it also keeps you really in the action on defense, because if you're over on this part of the field trying to go for the sack, right, and then suddenly he passes it, and maybe, you're kind of flustered, you can't quickly get to where you want, this gives you the opportunity to go play up in there and make sure that, you really can have an impact on every play on defense as well as offense.
And I just want to be sure we're clear. This has all the kind of more robust gaming modes that you would expect on the console too, as far as playing through a season. And
So we have real teams, real players. We have a deep free agent pool. So nearly 2,000 players in all. Yeah, and we have a very deep season mode. So you can play through the season. There's massively robust stat tracking. You can see every stat for all the players across the league.
Can you customize players?
You can't customize players. You can customize your team. You can trade players from one team to the other. You can sign and release players. So, if you're watching, and that day your team makes a transaction in the NFL, you can go right into our game and sign them, release them, make trades. So
You're going to upload that down the line, right? You guys are going to give free updates to users?
Yeah, so we will be offering some free roster updates. So, at key moments throughout the season, you'll be able to download and get the latest roster updated at no charge.
And another key part, I think, of the Madden experience is multiplayer. And I know you said this isn't shipping initially with Bluetooth, right? But that's coming eventually.
So for iPod Touch and iPhone, there is Bluetooth multiplayer at launch. We offered that last year as an update in Madden NFL 10, so it's there for 11. For iPod, we're working on it. It is coming. It won't be there at launch, but it will be available in a free update not too far after.
And tell me about, I know you mentioned this super, I don't know if it's a secret mode or it has the weirdest name of a game feature I've ever heard.
So, for iPad, one thing that we are also going to be offering as a free update in the near future is a separate game mode called Vintage Voltage Football.
Right.
So the idea is that the iPad is very much kind of a tabletop device, and so we wanted a way to deliver fun two-player local multiplayer experience on a single device. And so, looking back at kind of football gaming and toys and all that, we looked back at the old electronic vibrating football games that were, really popular in the 60s and 70s. I mean, I had one growing up, after that, of course, but, it's just something that was kind of a fun thing. And so it seemed like it was a perfect fit to kind of do multiplayer on this iPad device. So, we're still working on it. It'll be coming out pretty soon as a free update. But, you'll have your teams and players on the field, you line them up, and then it's that sort of, I don't know if you're familiar with the game yourself, but it's the vibrating football where they kind of wobble around the field and you can throw the ball and run and you're setting it all up. So it's kind of a
basically you'll be able to play against one of your friends using the same iPad. You don't need two iPads.
Exactly, and that's the point. Is the iPad device. We wanted to deliver a fun way to play two players, but just on a single device.
Now this comes out. When does this come out?
It comes out August 10th.
August 10th. All right, so Tuesday. Yeah. It looks great. Thank you for stopping by.
Absolutely.
And be sure to stay out on the lookout for this on Tuesday.